Next week, the curtain will be raised on one of the most anticipated games in the Champions League, where a very defensively organized Inter Milan will take on a free scoring Barcelona. In this video specifically, we will be looking at the high pressing system that Dortmund executed so well against Barcelona, which, funny enough, is a system that Inter Milan also will be using. As always, please do subscribe to the channel. It's going to help us a lot to get this family to grow bigger. But without wasting any more time, let's start the video. And by the way, the reason I'm using the Dortmund game as an example is for the high press. I've seen many fans say that Inter Milan don't press high, but they could easily change their tactics and do the same thing. This back three system is a very good antidote for Barcelona's build-up style where they split the centre backs. And what Dortmund did really well is having a front two against Barcelona's centre backs, where their double pivot would come out and press the double pivot of FC Barcelona. And in the situations where we would see the ball go out wide, the wing backs would easily be willing to come out and press, while at the same time they have a really good backup. And I can easily see Inter Milan do this as well. The same like Dortmund was using Guirassy and Bayer, you can see easily Lautaro Martinez and Thuram doing the same thing, where somebody like Daumen can come on to Gerard Martin. And he was actually targeted in this game. Look at Bayer and Couto doing the same thing, while the double pivot is also marked for FC Barcelona. So this is a great system to play against Barcelona. So Borussia Dortmund basically went one-on-one against Barcelona in this phase. And like I said, Inter has this at their disposal. I feel that they play better this way. But specifically also that when the ball goes to Cubarsí, for an example, you would see this guy do an angled run. And now Cubarsí has to play the ball out wide. The same with Guirassy. If the ball goes to the other side, you would see him do the exact same thing, pressing and cutting the passing lane. And I feel like this is one of the reasons they could also set up traps, pressing from an angle, and everybody who's closest to the ball, they could easily be marked in this situation right here. So this is a genius system to play against a team like Barcelona. Here we see that the Dortmund player Bayer is actually slightly angling his run, therefore trying to press from an angle, leaving Cubarsí with only opting to pass to Gerard Martin. Here you can see the same thing happening to Cubarsí, where he's pressed from an angle again and he has to play the ball with Gerard Martin not being an option in this situation right over here. You know, I really went back and I wanted to know, why did we struggle to play out from the back against this high pressing system? Then it dawned on me. We had Cubarsí, who's a right footer, at left centre back. And I think we all know for a fact that Inigo will be starting against Inter Milan. And this is going to immediately solve this high press problem that Barcelona might have, especially with them trying to press us from an angle right here. Because how many times have you seen having the ball in his left foot? He could easily pass the ball over to to Gerard Martin, but at the same time, how many switches have we seen into the likes of Gavi, over to Cubarsí, even to Koundé? He could kick the ball long into the number 10. If the high press comes in the situation right over here where, we are under pressure, these runs that Rafinha can make in behind, it can easily come from Inigo Martinez. So I think this problem of struggling to play out from the back, Inigo is going to solve that for Barcelona right away, and he's going to make the world of difference with his left foot. Another thing will be the double pivot. How will Barcelona function should Inter Milan press high and actually man-mark Barcelona's double pivot? We did see that Dortmund was actually adamant on pressing Barcelona's double pivot, which was a huge part of Barcelona not being able to play through the center. But I do think with the presence of Inigo, that will actually affect how Inter Milan is going to play this system. Like I said, should they press Barcelona extremely high, because there's going to arise problems for them on other places if they do this. But at the same time, we have Inigo Martinez. But like I was saying, with Cubarsí playing there, the double pivot was marked no matter where they would move. Even if Gavi would go deep and Frenkie go high, they were adamant just to stay like that on Barcelona's double pivot. Barcelona's double pivot being pressed has been a common theme even since the days of Xavi, where teams would like, especially when they're pressing high, they would like to sit on Barcelona's double pivot. Even in this game right here against Dortmund, you would see Frenkie deeper and then Gavi go a little bit higher. They would still be marked. A key difference that we should not forget, which is maybe part of the reason, and not to throw shade on Gavi, why we struggled against Dortmund, but I think against Inter it will be Pedri who starts. In a scenario where we are going to see Inter Milan maybe pressing Barcelona high the same way that Dortmund did, having Pedri next to Frenkie de Jong is going to make the world of difference for FC Barcelona. because simply due to the fact that bro is incredibly press resistant, where he's gonna be able to turn guys inside out. And not only that, people always talk about how he dribbles so well. The link up play, the ball can easily come in here, he can hold on to it, he can play Gerard Martin in behind, he can play Pedri in behind. So having Pedri there is gonna make the world of difference for Barcelona in a scenario where I was saying, like, if Inter Milan decides to do the same thing, which I highly doubt anyway, but just in the case where we have that, and if you partner with the fact that we have Inigo Martinez, that's gonna even make more difference, the fact that we have Pedri in that double pivot. So I don't think we should be worried about a high press against Inter Milan. And I want to kindly remind Barcelona fans that Hansi Flick is not a fool. He knows what he's doing, and his in-game management is one of the best I've ever seen. And he even found a solution to this double pivot problem that were marked in the Dortmund game within the second half. So unless we play really awful, there's no way this Inter Milan side can beat us. So what change did Hansi Flick make exactly? He had his midfield defend in a trio, meaning that somebody was supposed to sit on Frankie or Pedri, or in this case it was Gavi and Fermin. Meaning that if you wanted to have your front two, it was Adeyemi that actually had to come in and sit on Frankie de Jong. That meant now that Barcelona had space, and this player was outnumbered 2 against 1. But more importantly, his players now had time on the ball. And imagine against Inter Milan, somebody like Kubarsi having time on the ball, somebody like Inigo Martinez having time on the ball. So this was a genius move from Hansi Flick to do this. So here we see the Barcelona trio. Instead of having a double pivot, they are now operating in a trio. And look how Adeyemi now had to come narrow in order to press Ronald Araujo. So now Araujo had time and space on the ball, but at the same time, Koundé is left wide open. And this actually had a ripple effect, because Adeyemi now had to work much harder in order to get back in time in order to put pressure on Jules Koundé, while at the same time, one of the pivots now couldn't actually follow Fermin anymore. But there's something that Flick did that a lot of you guys missed, and will unlock the verticality and will absolutely destroy Inter Milan if they press high with this back three against Barcelona. Something else that Hansi Flick did in the game against Dortmund would also be a determining factor against Inter Milan, and that is the involvement of Szczesny, right? Remember how we said that because of the structure now, you would actually have center backs that have time on the ball? Well, if Szczesny gets involved, now you're going to have an extra man that has time on the ball. Now, Adeyemi has to decide, do I leave Frankie and come and press Kubarsi? Does everybody just falter out their positions, right? Do we have Koundé in open space and in a position where he can play? Do the wingbacks come out and then we have Lamine Yamal in behind? Do we cover Lamine Yamal and then the pivot comes out, and then Dani Olmo would also have acres of space, right? And even then, the movement of Ferran Torres is going to be extremely important in the involvement of Szczesny in this instance. And how well can we also switch the ball? And how good, if somebody follows Ferran, how good are Rafinha going to be? And important is he going to be for running in behind in these areas right there? So if Szczesny gets involved in the build-up play here, we're going to have an extra man that has time and space on the ball. So I think a high press would really be suicide for Inter Milan. If we can really get Szczesny to be involved in this build-up play, it will be disastrous for Inter Milan if they would still want to press aside from there. But more importantly, Szczesny also drawing a player extra like Guirassy is going to give the likes of Kubarsi extra time on the ball. And that's going to put Adeyemi in a situation, do I press the center back or do I leave him open? Or do I go for Koundé, who's also going to be in space? So we're going to have time and space on the ball this way. But we have reached the end of the video. I just wanted to show you guys the high press that Dortmund did against us, which is something that Inter Milan could also do against us. And just maybe show you guys what was missing against Dortmund that we won't be having missed in the game against Inter Milan. But the next video, the part 2 I'm going to do, is going to be about how Inter Milan plays and how Barcelona can potentially counter this. As always, do subscribe to the channel. It's going to help us a lot to get this family to grow bigger. We upload weekly Barcelona content only.